Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dante Fortson here with a new series, Strange Bible Stories, Episode 1, The Lying Spirit. So this series is kind of going to be a little bit casual, just strange stories that seem to stand out in the Bible that don't really have any backstory to them. There's stuff in these stories that don't have any backstory, and sometimes we don't even get conclusions as to what's going on. And I just find them to be kind of, strange placements in the Bible. So this series is going to cover that. I don't know how often I'm going to do these, but I'm probably going to do quite a few of these off and on. So before we get started, go ahead and get your free book from blackhistoryinthebible.com if you want a free book. And when I say free, it's 100% free. All you have to do is go and enter your email address, check your email, click the confirmation link, click the download link, and enjoy. It does come via PDF. It is not a paperback book, but the book is free. And the book is Pre-Slavery Christianity. For those that think that black people are only Christians because of slavery, this book explains that that's not the case. Christianity was present in Africa long before Europeans even started dealing with it. So go ahead and get the free book. All right, thumbs up, please. Go ahead, put the thumbs up. If you have not clicked the thumbs up tab yet or button, please do so. Please click the subscribe button as well. And most importantly, if you want to be notified when new videos come out, click the notification bell and then click the option that says all notifications. All right. Now, if you're watching this video before the end of February 2020, there's a mystery box contest going on. And in order to win this mystery box, you have to be active on the BHITB forums. And you can go there at bhitbforums.com. It's the new forum, just launched. The top 25 users will be put into a hat or a bowl or something for the drawing. 3 names will be pulled. 3 people will win a mystery box. I'm not telling you what's in the mystery box, and the only way you will find out is what's in this mystery box is if you are one of the 3 winners, or if one or all or whoever, if the winners choose to do an unboxing video and show you guys what was in the mystery box. But other than that, only the winners will know what's in this box. For those of you who support via Patreon, Cash App, PayPal, or Super Chat, you get 15 bonus points added at the end of the month when you get it 15 bonus points added at the end of the month when the contest concludes. So make sure you go to the BHITB forums at bhitbforums.com and get active and communicate and debate and whatever else you want to do on the forums. All right. And for those who want to support, you can go to patreon.com/Dante Fortson. It is only $1 to become a patron, and you get those extra 15 points for the contest. If you want to support via Cash App, you can do so at hashtag BHITB, or you can support via PayPal. The link is in the description. And for those of you who catch the premieres, you can always support via Super Chat by clicking the S in the chat box. All right. So today's study is brought to you by Bible Study on Demand. You get 10% off on orders over $10. Just use coupon code BSOD10. It's perfect for small and large group studies. Download and print as many copies as you need. Doctrine-free and denomination-friendly printable Bible study sheets. And you can get those Bible study sheets at BibleStudyOnDemand.com. Again, BibleStudyOnDemand.com. All right. So today's lesson is going to come from 1 Kings chapter 22. Now, for those of you who see what's on the screen, this is an iconic scene. If you don't recognize it, I don't even know what to say to you if you don't recognize this scene. But basically, Red, aka DJ Pooh, he is going to be representative of King Ahab that we are going to talk about today. And King Ahab is an interesting character in this story because his wife, Jezebel, she seems to be the one calling all the shots, who ran everything. And she seemed to be the one most about getting things done when they needed to get done. Now, of course, she angered God and she fell out a window and the dogs ate her, and that was her end. But let's continue. Just to give you some backstory before we get to 1 Kings chapter 22, to give you some idea of the type of person King Ahab is. Now, it's because he's this type of person that God is actually going to spare a lot of the stuff that was supposed to happen during his time, but it's going to happen during his son's time, which we're not going to get into. All right, so Elijah killed all of Ahab's prophets. Well, not all of them. He had, I think it was 450 or 350. I think it was 450 prophets of Baal, and then there were another 400 prophets. Anyway, Elijah killed 450 of his prophets when he called down fire from heaven. And then he had the prophets, caught and slain. He killed them all. So that's the first thing that happens. What does Ahab do? Exactly what you're seeing on the screen. He does nothing. So then, this is probably is kind of terrible, but it's funny. Ben-Hadad took everything from Ahab. When I say everything, he took everything, and then he sent a messenger to tell him, I took all your wives, I took all your kids, I've taken all your riches. Now what I want you to do is I want you and all your officers to go through all your personal possessions, find anything of value, and I want you to send it to me. And Ahab sends a message back that says, it's cool that you took everything. You can have the wives, you can have the kids, you can have everything you've taken, but I'm not going to go through and do this thing right here. So that's how that whole situation goes down. And Ahab just lets him have everything. That's going to lead to a battle later, which is going to, this is important because it leads up to what happens in 1 Kings chapter 22. So Ahab wanted Naboth's land, and Naboth refused to give it to him. So Ahab ran home and laid across the bed and pouted, basically. And Jezebel had Naboth murdered, and Ahab went to go claim the land. And then when he went to go claim the land, he was confronted by Elijah, and this is what happened again. And what's interesting about that story, we're not going to get too much into it because it's not much to say, but Elijah is powered by the Spirit of the Lord, and he actually outruns the chariot and beats Ahab back to the city. So it's kind of interesting stuff going on in that story, but we're not going to touch too much on that because there's not much to say on it. All right. So here we go. 1 Kings 22:12. So after Ben-Hadad took all of Ahab's stuff and Ahab wouldn't come bring him the rest, Ben-Hadad, of course, invades, and there's a war. So Ahab wants to know if he should go to war. This is where the story gets interesting, and it's going to introduce several things that we get no heads up for. We get no backstory to. So we'll start at 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 12. And all the prophets. Now here's some of the prophets that Ahab had. Now understand, these are false prophets. So, and all the prophets prophesied so, saying, go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it into the king's hand. This is what they're telling him to go do, the battle. And the messenger that was gone to call Micaiah spake unto him, saying, behold now, the words of the prophets declare good unto the king with one mouth. Let thy word, I pray thee, be like the word of one of them, and speak that which is good. So this messenger goes to get Micaiah, who is a prophet of the Lord, and he says, hey, these other prophets are saying good stuff, so you go say good stuff so you won't get in trouble. And Micaiah said, as the Lord liveth, what the Lord saith unto me, that will I speak. So he came to the king, and the king said unto him, Micaiah. Now, to give you a little bit more backstory that I almost forgot, the king is talking. He talked to Jehoshaphat before this, and he told Jehoshaphat, Micaiah never tells me anything good. I don't want to call him because he never tells me anything good. All right, so we're 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 15. So he came to the king, and the king said unto him, Micaiah, shall we go against Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall we forbear? And he answered him, go and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king. So remember, the messenger said, hey, they're telling them good stuff. You go tell them good stuff. He said, I'm going to tell you what the Lord tells me to speak, right? This is what he told him. So now he tells him to go and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver into the hand of the king. And the king said unto him, how many times shall I adjure thee that thou tell me nothing but that which is true in the name of the Lord? He was like, so how many times do I have to ask you before you're going to tell me the truth? Because see, the king knows Micaiah is lying because Micaiah never tells him anything good. And now he's telling him the Lord is going to help you prosper. Go into this fight. Now, this is Micaiah's response. And he said, I saw all Israel scattered upon the hills as sheep that have not a shepherd. And the Lord said, these have no master. Let them return every man to his house in peace. All right. So they have a sheep with no shepherd, meaning the shepherd is going to get murdered or whatever else. But in this case, the shepherd's going to die. All right. Now, Micaiah gets introduced to the story. He's a prophet. And we're going to come back to Micaiah because right about here, let me see, verse 18, 22, 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 18. This is where we encounter a strange scene in heaven. And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, did I not tell thee that he would prophesy no good concerning me, but evil? And he said, hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left. So now we're getting the scene of heaven. God is on the throne, the hosts are on the right and left. And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. So here we have the Most High is asking a question. Who's going to go convince Ahab? Who's going to go persuade him to go die in battle? Now understand what's going on here. There is a whole council of heavenly beings plotting on the downfall of one man. It says one said on this manner and the other said on that manner. They're discussing it. And there came forth the Spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him. So they're discussing this thing. And now a volunteer steps forward to go lie in order for this man to die in the battle. Now, understand what's going on here. It's spiritual warfare going on here, but we're getting some insight into how this spiritual warfare is being played out. A whole council convened to plot the downfall of this one human. All right. So 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 22. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith, or how are you going to do this? And he said, I will go forth and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. See, they came up with the plot. Now, notice he didn't say who's going to go down. And let me back up. Let me back up and read it again. And the Lord said, this is verse 20, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go and fall at Ramoth Gilead? All right. So he asked, who's going to go persuade him? They convened, they discussed, and they came up with a way. Then a volunteer stepped forward. So they probably chose this spirit. It doesn't say he's an angel or a demon. It says all the host of heaven. People assume all the host of heaven are angels and demons. But we see that whatever this spirit is, it steps forward. So it's probably chosen for this purpose. And he said, thou shalt persuade him. Let me back up. He said, I will go forth and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him and prevail also. Go forth and do so. So now this spirit is going forth with the plan that they came up with. Verse 23, now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee. So now Ahab is being told the truth, what's going on. All his prophets are lying to him. But also notice that Micaiah started off by lying to him, telling him, hey, go prosper. But Zedekiah, this is verse 24, but Zedekiah, the son of Shenanah, went near and smote Micaiah on the cheek and said, which way went the Spirit of the Lord from me to speak unto thee? All right. So here's a little bit of backstory to Zedekiah. If you read the whole chapter, which you should do, Zedekiah makes this hat, a helmet with bull's horns or horns on it. And he uses it in a demonstration saying that the king is going to push against his enemies and be victorious. So that's where he comes from. So now Micaiah calls him a liar. And in order to prove he's not a liar, he goes and slaps Micaiah. And and so now we have this scenario where Zedekiah is selling the lie. He is selling the lie. And because he makes such a good effort at selling the lie, and because Micaiah just lied to the King Ahab, now Ahab is thinking like, okay, now on one hand, he calls them liars, but he also lied to me. And we're going to see what this leads up to. Now, let's talk about the volunteers real quick. These spiritual volunteers. This word right here, 7307, ruach, many of you will recognize it, means spirit. Same word used when we refer to the Holy Spirit. The ruach is the spirit part. So it does not say angel. If you go watch my study on Nephilim Giants part 1 and part 2, I talk about the Benai Elohim, the Malachim, the Cherubim, the Seraphim briefly. We talk about the ranks of angels, which we'll get into more as we get into the angels and demons study. But point being, it used a different word here. It did not use the typical word for angel. It did not use the typical word for demon in the Old Testament. It did use spirit. So as we get down to here, though, this is where we want to focus on the word persuade. 6601. Again, 6601. Keep that in mind. 6601. I'll say it again. 6601. When the Most High asked for a spirit to go down and persuade him. 6601. Patah. To be spacious, wide, or open. And will verb to be spacious, wide, or open. Aramaic, be spacious, abundant. But if you keep reading, you get down to here, possibly one open as to lips, but see the diminutive below. So let's keep going below. Now, before we get below, I want to point this out on the right hand side in the Englishman's Concordance. It shows how it's translated. So this is Genesis 9:27. In the NAS, may God enlarge Japheth. In the KJV, God shall enlarge Japheth. In International, enlarge, may God Japheth. Well, not International, INT. Enlarge, may God Japheth. This is how this is interpreted in Genesis. But then if you go down here to Exodus, it seems to be different. The NAS is seduces. The KJV is entices. INT is seduces. If you come down to Deuteronomy, it's translated as deceived, deceived, deceived. So why is it translated as seduce, entice, deceive here, but in Genesis it's translated as enlarge in reference to Japheth? So we're going to continue down the page. When you get down to Strong's Concordance, you see that the exhaustive part says allure, deceive, enlarge, entice, flatter, persuade, silly one. Primitive root to be roomy, usually figuratively. So it's not literally being enlarged necessarily, but figuratively sometimes in a mental or moral sense. To be simple or deluded, allure, deceive, enlarge, entice, flatter, persuade. Silly one. Or to be silly. So you could be mentally puffed up or mentally deluded or have a moral sense of right. Or you'd be wrong and have a mentally superior. You guys know what I'm talking about. Where you believe you're morally superior. Now, this is important because before I get to that, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're liking the video so far. All right. This is important because when you get to Genesis chapter 9, we're about to make you dig through the Old Testament for those of you who are preaching that the Jews in Israel are Esau. You might want to dig your Bible back out because you're about to have to start proving it to people. So when we get down to Genesis chapter 9, verse 27, it says, God shall enlarge Japheth. This is the word that's translated as deceive, allure, persuade. God shall deceive Japheth, allure Japheth, persuade Japheth. I'm going to show you in a second. It's the same word. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So we're talking about Japheth here, right? So he's going to enlarge Japheth. What did it say? Mentally puffed up, give him a moral sense of authority. So right here, Japheth, Genesis 9:27, 6601. May enlarge. Didn't we say 6601 was the other one? We just looked at 6601, Patah. So we have the same word, 6601. Allure, deceive, enlarge, entice, persuade. So he's going to give Japheth a sense of moral authority. Has anybody ever heard of the term manifest destiny? If you've never heard of British Israelism, look into that. A lot of this stuff teaches that they have the moral authority to enslave and invade the entire world because they believe that they are Israel, the tribes of Judah and Benjamin. They believe that the white race is the true Israelites of the Bible, and that they have the moral authority to do all the stuff they've been doing without consequence because it's ordained of God, according to them. But notice it said Canaan shall be his servant. Now, this is for those who say that the entire white race is Esau. This is why I keep saying it's not that cut and dry. You can't say the entire white race is Esau, because we know that they are Japheth based on what's going on. And some of you may say, well, this doesn't really prove that, but just pay attention. Now, what do the people in Israel call themselves? They call themselves Ashkenazi. A lot of them call themselves Ashkenazi. You've heard of Ashkenazi Jews. So if you Google Ashkenazi, it says this: Ashkenazi, plural, Ashkenazim, from Hebrew, Ashkenaz, Germany. Member of the Jews who lived in the Rhineland Valley and in the neighboring France before their migration eastward to Slavic lands, Poland, Lithuania, Russia, after the Crusades, and their descendants. This is what Ashkenaz refers to. So in here in Genesis chapter 10, verses 2, let's read verses 1 through 3. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were born sons after the flood. The sons of Japheth, Gomer, and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. And the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz. Right there. Ashkenaz is a descendant of Japheth. So when you have somebody calling themselves Ashkenazi, they are from the line of Japheth. It tells you right here, it means Germany. This is where the Europeans are. So these are not Esau. Esau is from the line of Shem. And right here, we know that these are from the line of Japheth. So anybody telling you that they're Esau is not necessarily correct. Again, it's not that cut and dry, but we see that they are Europeans. But we're going to continue just for a second off the beaten path because this word appears here. Now, Times of Israel. This is their own publication, not Dante's. Times of Israel. Notice it mentions Palestine. Palestinians troops clash in West Bank. Thousands protest Trump plan in Jordan. This is from the 20th. Now, this is not when the article was written. These are stories from the 20th, right? This is about Palestine. I'm going to show you something. Ashkenazi Jews descend from 350 people, study finds. Bottleneck dates back 600 to 800 years, right? So 600 to 800 years. Now, this is September 10th, 2014, when this was published. September 10th, 2014. They were saying this, and this is Times of Israel. This is their own people saying this. They are from the line of Japheth. They are not Esau. Arthur Kessler said the same thing. People said Arthur Kessler was crazy. This is Arthur Kessler. He is an Ashkenazi Jew. And he said that they were Jewish converts in the 8th century from Khazaria. So again, he places them as Europeans. He wrote this book in, I believe, 1976. This is when this was published. And we see the article in 2014 confirming what he's saying. We see the breakdown of the word in Hebrew means Germany. But to understand all that, and the part where it says Canaan shall be his servant, you have to understand what happened in 1917. In 1917, these German Jews, these Ashkenazi, wrote a letter. And then they got a reply. This is called the Balfour Declaration, where they got a promise from the British Empire to secure them land in Palestine. So you have two groups of Europeans. You have the Brits and you have the Ashkenazi Germans, Jews. They're making a land to take Palestine. What did it say? Canaan shall be his servant. Where's Palestine? In the current land that we call Israel, which is past Canaan or biblical Canaan. Where does the word Palestine come from? It comes from the word Philistine. So Canaanites are still in that land. So now the German Jews and the Brits are plotting to take a chunk of that land. So this is in 1917. They get the go ahead and they say, look, we're going to back you on this, on acquiring a homeland for you. And we're going to take it out of Palestine. Now, if you look up, the Zionist Federation was founded in 1899. So they founded the Zionist Federation in 1899. By 1917, they had a commitment from the Brits. And in 1920, you run into the Mandate for Palestine, which comes from the League of Nations. And the Brits were supposed to enforce this. So basically, they went in there and stole the land. And in 1948, they give them the land, which is why there's no peace in the Middle East, which is why if you're following the current stuff going on with Trump's peace plan, the Palestinians are not happy about it because they're like, this is our land. These people don't belong here. They're Europeans. Anyway, there's even more proof. But people say, well, why do you call them fake Jews? Why do you call them fake Jews? Well, number one, the Bible and every other source says that the Jews were black and dark skinned. And yet we have evidence that these people are converts from Germany, from the line of Japheth, saying that they are the people of the Bible. And then they make an accord with England to steal Palestinian land that's supposed to belong to the Hebrews. And now we see that they are not living in peace, as Bible prophecy said, because people will say, well, how come they're back in the land? How did they become a nation in a day? They didn't become a nation in a day. It took them 49 years from the founding of the Jewish Federation in 1899 to 1948 to acquire the land. They didn't become a nation in a day. People say that they fit the prophecy, but the prophecy said they would live in the land safe again when the Most High put them there. They're not in that land safe. They're at war constantly. Not only that, the environment is killing them because they have the second highest melanoma rate in the world. And if you don't know what melanoma is, it's a deadly skin cancer. So everything about this tells you they don't belong there. They're getting skin cancer because they don't have the right complexion. Black people wouldn't be living there getting skin cancer at that rate. They are, though, because they don't belong there. So now when we read in the book of Revelation, we understand. In Revelation 2:8-9, it says, and the angel of the church of Smyrna write, these things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know thy works and thy tribulation and poverty. What is the stereotype about Jews? Is that they are miserly, that they hoard money. This is a stereotype. It doesn't mean it's true. It's a stereotype. But that's not the stereotype that the Most High is using. He said, I know you're in poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. This is what the Eurocentric Christian church doesn't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about this verse right here that says that there is a synagogue of Satan saying that they are Jews and are not. They say it's blasphemy. So understand, if you're a Eurocentric Christian and you're saying it doesn't matter, skin color doesn't matter, and you're over here hating black people who are the Israelites, and you're loving white Jews who are from the line of Japheth, who are not really Shemites at all, and you're supporting them taking that land, you're not supporting the people of the Most High. You're oppressing the people of the Most High and supporting what the Bible calls the synagogue of Satan. So you can say whatever you want to. You can try to justify it however you want to. The facts are the facts, and we know what the facts point to. And if we go to Revelation 3:8-9, I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast little strength, and hast kept my word, and hast not denied my name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Now, meaning that the Jews that did this, the synagogue of Satan, the fake ones, don't know who the real ones are. Or they think that the Most High doesn't care about the real ones. He said, I'm going to make them to know that I love you and make them come worship before your feet. What do you think is more likely to happen? You think we're going to go worship them people? Do you think black people will go worship them people? Do you think they'll come worship us? No. So each one is equally unlikely to happen. That's what's going to make it a miracle. because you guys are going to see something that we never thought we would see. And when I say you guys, I'm talking to those who still believe the Eurocentric Christian lie that these people are the real Israelites of the Bible. That's what makes a miracle, when something you don't think is going to happen will ever happen. Never in the history of the world would you ever think a group of Europeans would come worship at the feet of the descendants of former slaves in America. That would make it a miracle. So understand what's going on in the Bible. Whether or not you want to address this stuff, it has to be addressed, because there are fake Jews posing as real Jews according to the Bible. And that has not changed. And you can do the research. It leads where it leads. But these people are lying to Japheth. So anyway, get the thumbs up. We're going to get back into what's going on. So the lying spirits came, spoke in the prophet Micaiah lied. Now Ahab doesn't know what to do. So here's Ahab's solution. Where we at? All right, we did that. Let me get over here. Here we go. So what happened to Micaiah? So here's what happens. Let me go to verse 23. Now, therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these prophets, and the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee. But Zedekiah the son of Chenanah went near and smote Micaiah on the cheek and said, Which way went the spirit of the Lord for me to speak unto thee? And Micaiah said, Behold, thou shalt see in that day when thou shalt go into an inner chamber to hide thyself. And the king of Israel said, Take Micaiah and carry him back unto Amon, the governor of the city, and to Joash, the king's son, and say, Thus saith the king, Put this fellow in the prison and feed him with the bread of affliction and with the water of affliction until I come in peace. All right. So if you ever heard that you get fed bread and water in prison, we see it here in the Bible as well. So I'm not sure I looked up the word affliction here to kind of see what it meant, because I had a suspicion that it meant like molded bread or something like that. But the word isn't really clear on what that really means. It has a lot of words with it, like oppression and other words. So I'm not sure exactly what bread of affliction is or water of affliction, but I'm pretty sure it probably was not clean bread or clean water, I'm assuming. But anyway, he gives this order to have him put in prison until he comes back in peace. This is important right here. He says, have him put in prison until I come in peace. And listen to Micaiah's response, verse 28, chapter 22, verse 28, 1 Kings. And Micaiah said, If thou shalt return at all in peace, the Lord hath not spoken by me. And he said, Hearken, O people, every one of you. He's saying, listen to me. If this dude comes back at all, God is not speaking through me. Now, this is the measure. It means if he does not come back, God has spoken to him. So he goes out to battle. The king does go out to battle, but he has this grand idea that he's going to dress up like somebody else and have somebody else dress up like him and go out to battle. So Ben-Hadad sees this. He sees the decoy and sends everybody after the decoy, which is kind of funny because he's like, ignore everybody else on the battlefield. Go get that dude right there. Now, when they figure out it's not the actual king and Ben-Hadad realizes what's going on, he then sends everybody else after the king, and Ahab gets shot with an arrow. He ends up bleeding out in the city, and the dogs come lick up his blood, which is part of another prophecy where the Most High tells him that the dogs would lick his blood up. And he also, later on, Jezebel is going to die too. But yeah, this is what happens. Now, what's crazy about the story is we don't find out what happens to Micaiah. He's never mentioned again. He's thrown into prison before the king goes out to battle. The king dies and we never hear from him again. So we don't know if they let him out. We don't know if he ended up staying in prison. We don't know what happens to Micaiah. Now, some people say, well, that's the prophet Micah. It's not the prophet Micah. He's a different person. And I did look just to make sure that I couldn't find what happened to Micaiah. So if anybody has any references to anywhere that mentions what happened to Micaiah after this, please let me know. I would love to look into it and just kind of see how it lines up with scripture, if it lines up with scripture at all. So what did we learn here? The Most High sometimes asks for volunteers in the spirit realm. It may seem weird to some of you because many of us who come out of Eurocentric Christianity, including in black churches that teach Eurocentric Christian doctrine, We always hear people saying, well, that's the spirit of this and that's the spirit of that. That's the spirit of lust and envy and the spirit of murder and the spirit of lying. And what we learn here in the Bible is that sometimes God takes volunteers and sometimes all the spirits get together and plot to lie on you or get you to fall for something deceitful. This is what happened. Spirits can volunteer for certain tasks. We saw the one came forth. There was no argument about it. They discussed it and one came forth. One volunteered. We don't know if he was good or bad. We just know he volunteered for this specific task. And we know it's a spirit, and it doesn't necessarily say angel or demon. Spirits can consult with each other and choose one for the job. Now, this shows that they have free will. Some denominations teach that angels and other spirits don't have free will. This tells us the opposite. They are intelligent beings. They are capable of working together. They are capable of devising a plot. Now think about how intricate this plot was. It was so intricate to the point that Micaiah went and started off talking to the king with a lie. And the king knew he was going to tell him something bad. The other prophets had lied to him. So there was a lot of stuff going on right here, and they manipulated the king to the point. And when I say they, I'm talking about the spirits. The king was manipulated into still going out on the battlefield. Even after he knew he wasn't supposed to go on the battlefield, he knew Micaiah's words could be correct, which is why he came up with the decoy thinking he could trick God, and it didn't work. But they still got him out on that battlefield because remember what God said. Who's going to go out there and convince him to go out there and die? And one came forth and it made it happen. And the final lesson we learned today is real prophets might lie to you if they don't like you. Understand that Micaiah and Ahab did not like each other. Micaiah did not like Ahab because Ahab was pretty evil. Mostly his wife got him to do a lot of evil and he went along with it. And Ahab didn't like Micaiah because he never had anything good to say. And he told him, what did he say when he first asked him about the battlefield? He's like, go and be well. So had he just listened, he would have went. And then when he said, okay, don't go, he doesn't want to listen because he don't like him. So now he's going to go and try to trick God, and it didn't work. So that's just one of those interesting one-off stories that we get. We don't hear too much more about this council of spirits that seems to occur in heaven. We see other situations where stuff happens, but we don't see any other event in the Bible where all the spirits come together and consult and choose a volunteer to go take a task. Now, some of you say, well, in Mormonism, there's the plan of redemption where they come and try to figure out, who's going to go down there and redeem mankind. However, that's not something we see in the Bible at all. And there's a whole lot of flaws with that. They put Satan and Christ equal on the same level, and we know that's not true. So this has anything to do with Mormonism. Mormonism probably actually took it from that scene in the Bible and probably put their own spin on it to add to their doctrine, which is why they have separate books. But anyway, don't forget about the free book contest. For those of you who did not hear, I am working on a book about Esau. And the contest is, if the channel gets 1 million views before the book is finished and ready to publish, I will give the book out for free to everybody via PDF. Everybody. All you have to do is go to blackhistoryinthebible.com, enter your email address so you don't miss the notification email if it does go out. But the channel overall has to get 1 million views by the time I'm finished. That means share the video, share your favorite videos. Any videos you share count toward that 1 million views. If you watch videos again, it counts toward the 1 million total views on the channel. So not one specific video, the whole channel. If you guys did not hear the announcement about Evidence Unleashed, the Teo Ministries and Dante Fortson playlist project, over 17 hours of video, 21 videos hand selected by us that goes through the evidence from beginning to end that Israel is indeed the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade and many people who are still in Africa, not just the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade in America, but in the islands as well. Parts of Africa like Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, areas like that, and even more. But you guys need to go binge watch that. Now, the link to that is not only in the description, but it's also on my channel homepage. You can go click the playlist link. So for those of you who are interested, Go check that out. If you have people that are interested and you don't know how to talk to them, send them that playlist. I promise you, me and Teo go through the evidence, and there's no way anybody that's really searching can go through that entire playlist and not come out a believer in what we're talking about. We show the evidence. If anybody is a doubter and they say, well, what's the evidence? Point them to that playlist. That playlist is going to be instrumental in turning a lot of people to the truth, because the opposition has nothing like it. They have not gone through and debunked every single source in that series. They claim they've debunked a bunch of sources because they've been back and forth with the camps, but they have not come at me and Teo with that. It just hasn't happened, and they won't, because it's too much evidence. The amount of evidence is overwhelming. But anyway, go check that out. Make sure you go share that. Make sure you grab a copy of As the Days of Noah Were and my other book, Beyond Flesh and Blood, The Ultimate Guide to Angels and Demons. If you're interested in the spirit world, Beyond Flesh and Blood breaks down all the different types of spirits in the Bible, including the one we just talked about right now. So before you go, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Make sure you click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and make sure you click the notification bell so you can receive notifications every time I post new videos. And with that said, till next time, I'm out.